Okay, so in this video we're going to take a look at dimensional analysis, which you may have learned as something called factor label in a chemistry class. Let's start by converting 753 millimeters to meters. So I would start by writing 753 millimeters. And then to convert it to meters, what I'm going to do is set up a factor label. So an X and a line, and I'm going to put millimeters on bottom, and I want meters on top. Then I just need to think about this factor. How many millimeters are in a meter, or vice versa? Well, I know that in 1 meter, there are 1,000 millimeters. That means I can cancel out the mm's, and this tells me that I need to divide 753 by 1,000. So 753 divided by 1,000 is 0.753. Okay, now let's convert 7.8 kilometers to miles. So I'm going to start by writing 7.8 km. And then I'm going to do my factor. And I look at this little chart that I have to help me convert kilometers to miles, and it says that in 1 mile there are 1.61 kilometers. So I'm going to put kilometers on bottom and miles. Usually we do mi. You can spell miles out if you want. Miles on top. And I know that in 1 mile there is 1.61 kilometers. Cancel out the kilometers. I'm left with miles. And this tells me that I need to divide 7.8 by 1.61. And I get 4.8, we'll say 4.84 miles. There's some sig fig stuff, but we're not really going to use sig figs that much in this class. All right, now let's do 2 harder examples. Let's say you need to convert 2.8 kilometers an hour to miles per hour. Well, you would start by writing 2.8, and instead of saying km over h, I'm going to write it this way. 2.8 km over 1 hour, because that still says 2.8 kilometers per hour. And to convert it to miles, I'm going to set up my factor label, and I'm going to put kilometers on bottom and miles on top. And again, I know that in 1 mile there's 1.61 kilometers from this little chart. Now the kilometers are going to cancel out. Make that 6. Kilometers cancel out, and I'm left with miles over top of hours, which is what I want. In this case, I'm going to, maybe I'll write it like this so it's a little bit easier for you to see. 2.8 miles, those are the things left on top, over 1.61 hours, that would be on bottom. So I take 2.8 and divide it by 1.61, and I get 1.73, we'll say 1.74. I can write this as miles per hour. All right, now let's convert 50 miles an hour, which I'm going to write as 50 miles over 1 hour, to meters per second. Okay, in this I'm going to have to do a similar conversion to what we just did, where I'm going to put miles on bottom, and you know what, let's go to kilometers first. And so I will get this into kilometers an hour. I know that there is in 1 mile 1.61, which means now I'm going to actually multiply 50 by 1.61. And to convert from kilometers to meters, I know that in 1 kilometer there is 1,000 meters. Okay, so now I have it in meters per hours because I have m and I have h left. To get the hours into seconds, I'm going to do a factor label specifically for the hours, where I put hours on top and then minutes on bottom. I know that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes. Now I can cancel out the hours. And to get rid of minutes, I would do, let's see, in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds, and I'll leave that as S. Okay. So I'm going to bring this over here. So now I know I've got 50 times 1.61 times 1,000 on top, and that's going to give me meters over 1 times 1 times 1 times 60 times 60 seconds. Okay, so 50 times 1.61 times 1,000 is 80,500. So 80,500 meters over 60 times 60 is just 3,600 seconds. And so 80,500 divided by 3,600 seconds is going to give you 22.36 meters per second. So now I've converted 50 miles an hour to meters per second, 22.36. Great. Hopefully this was a nice refresher for you, and at least maybe an explanation of what to do for unit conversions when there are two separate units. This process of just following the factor label with multiple factors is how we can tackle those kinds of conversions.